Welcome to Betting Weekly WTA, the women's tennis betting podcast, brought to you in association with Bet Rivers. I'm Rory Jiwani. With me is Nigel Seeley. We do actually have two tournaments this week as we enter the final straight of the season, but we don't have any odds yet for the 250 in Guangzhou in China. So we'll be looking exclusively at the big tournament of the week, the 500 in Tokyo. Before we get started, make sure to like and subscribe to us on YouTube and your favourite podcast provider, and follow us on social media. The handle is @BecauseWeWin. And if you like what you hear on our show, sign up for our newsletter. Get exclusive tips and the free Insider magazine. Sign up for free at www.bettingweeklystudios.com. Nigel, we did very well on the match bets last week, 5 out of 6. Not so well on the outrights. Leylah Fernandez won in Osaka, whereas Elena Rybakina boosted her WTA finals hopes by beating Ekaterina Alexandrova in the final in Ningbo. She has to reach the semi-finals in Tokyo to displace Mira Andreeva from 8th spot in the race to Riyadh. Andreeva's elected not to play this week after she fell, surprisingly, to Lin Zhu in Ningbo. That means Jasmine Paolini has qualified for the WTA finals, and unsurprisingly, she's pulled out of Tokyo. She was going to be the top seed here. Now, there's a chance that Andreeva and Rybakina could qualify if Madison Keys doesn't play. She hasn't played for some time, but Rybakina knows what she has to do. And Nigel, we've talked about motivation being key at this time of the season. I suppose Rybakina is one player who really needs to do well here.
Good afternoon to you, Rory. Yes, I think she does. I mean, we all know she has to do. She has to get to the semi-finals or hope that Madison Keys pulls out, but we won't know that for a couple of weeks. So her job here is to make sure she gets to the semi-finals, and regardless of what else is going to happen, to make the Tour Championship. There's a lot of money at stake for them, prestige as well. So, it's a big week for Rybakina. And I think I believe she's the girl to beat this week, without a doubt. I mean, I was quite impressed with her performance all week last week, and I was very impressed with her in the final today against Alexandrova. She lost the first set and come back and blitzed her in set number 2, which played some brilliant tennis, power tennis. But there's a price, and plus 225 currently to win this tournament is factored in that she has to go deep to the semi-finals. My only worry about that is if she got to the semi-finals and she knows that she's through, is she going to go all in the final? She's accomplished what she needed to do. There isn't much prize money at stake here. There is a lot of money compared to our standards, Rory, but compared to these tennis players, not a huge amount of money at stake. And does she save herself for the Tour Championship knowing that she's done enough to qualify? That would be my worry. But, she is the girl to beat. She is the most likely favourite. But at the price, I'm a little bit worried about her.
Yeah, let's have a look at the tournaments. 28 player draw, and the top 4 seeds receive buys into round 2. There's been quite a few changes to the draw with Paolini pulling out. Conditions-wise, Tokyo should play very similar to Osaka last week. The service hold percentage last year was 66.5. As opposed to Osaka's 67.2 last year. So we're looking on the fast side of medium. That said, it is going to be pretty cool in the Japanese capital. Temperatures barely getting over 20 Celsius, so that's only mid to high 60s Fahrenheit. Fair bit of rain forecast tomorrow and on Saturday. Qin Wenzheng won last year, defeating Sofia Kenin in the final in straight sets. Veronika Kudermetova beat Jessica Pegula in the 2023 final, and Lyudmila Samsonova got the better of Qin Wenzheng in 2022. So those three would point to the big servers holding sway. Before the pandemic, Naomi Osaka beat Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova in the 2019 final. Osaka was runner-up to Karolina Pliskova the year before. And the year before that, in 2017, Caroline Wozniacki defeated Pavlyuchenkova to claim her 3rd title. Recent renewals would suggest we're looking for someone like Elena Rybakina to win this. But any other trends, patterns we should be considering, Nigel?
Well, the last 10 years of this tournament, only one seeded player has won the tournament. It's gone to the top, usually a more established player. The number one seed has only won it once in the last 10 years, though. But, people around CD3, CD4 have won the tournament. The only one number one seed was Zheng last year. She was the number one seed. Samsonova was unseeded when she won it in 2022. Like you would say, yes, it does go down to the bigger servers. But this, I'm not convinced with the weather this year compared to weather of past years that it will play as quick as what we are expecting. It's cool conditions compared to what it has been in the last couple of years, which means that the ball might travel not as fast as it has done in those hot and humid conditions. So, yes, Rybakina does look a worthy favourite and the woman to beat. We said it before at the prices. She is someone. But there are other incentives for other players in this draw, and I think unless you want to go and put your money onto Rybakina, I think there's a few others that may make some appeal.
Now, if the quarterfinals go according to the seedings, as I say, there's been a lot of changes with Paolini and also Clara Tauson pulling out. Fifth seed Belinda Bencic, who is now where Paolini would have been in the draw. She'll play eighth seed Karolina Muchova. In Q2, there's just one seed now in Ekaterina Alexandrova. She's likely to meet Sofia Kenin in the quarterfinals. In Q3, Dayana Shnaider could face Linda Noskova. And in Q4, ninth seed Victoria Mboko is on course to meet second seed Jelena Rybakina. Let's have a look at those outright odds. And, as we've discussed, no surprise, Rybakina the favourite, a strong one at plus 225. Ekaterina Alexandrova, $4. Belinda Bencic, plus 550. Linda Noskova, $8, along with Karolina Muchova. Marketa Vondrousova, $13, the same price as Dayana Shnaider. Anna Kalinskaya and Leyla Fernandez, both $20. And McCartney Kessler, Victoria Mboko, $25. $30 bar those. How are we going to attack this, Nigel? Draw bias, would you say? Hard to tell.
I don't think you're going to see the end of the withdrawals because a lot of these girls these young ladies have been playing to try to get into the Touring Championship. And when they've known the game up, they think that's it. So, and their motivation is questionable. Towson knows she's had a long season. She's gone. Paolini knows she's in. She's gone. Alexandrova has been playing an awful lot of tennis, got to the final. And she's just going to fall short in the race. She's up to 10th in the race. She's just going to fall short. I would be amazed. I don't think she'll play. And that could leave that second quarter without a seed in it. So it's really, 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 really difficult here to find the way to go into this angle. And it just brings me all the way to Jelena Rybakina. I think Rybakina, she's the one that we know has the most motivation and the one that who has every incentive to win it. I think if there's more withdrawals in this tournament, which I expect them to be, I would expect Rybakina to start probably close to around about plus 150, plus 175, maybe even short if Alexandrova goes out this tournament as well. So that's my angle of attack here. But obviously, people want to come on and try to find an outsider. Obviously, you want to find winners, but it's not, for me to sit here and say Rybakina is going to win this tournament plus 225 doesn't really make much of an appeal to many people. So I think for my purpose, I will have to have an official play on Jelena Rybakina at plus 225. So I'm going to have a 2U pick just on her to win it at plus 225. She has to get to the semi-finals. That is what she has to do. Or her year is over. She doesn't want it to be over. She's playing all these tournaments to get there. And I think she's playing at the top of her game, some of her best tennis in the conditions which would suit her perfectly. So I've got to have a bet on her to win it at plus 225 for 2 units. My worry with it is obviously, as I said at the top of the show, if she gets to the final and her job is done and she's accomplished what she wants to do, then she may think to herself, well, I've already done it. Why exert myself in that final? So I'm trying, and she's in the bottom half of the draw. So I'm trying to look for someone in the top half of the draw who I think is value. Now, what I've done here, I'm looking for motivation. I'm looking for players who want to end the season well. And it's something that I've done in the past before. I'm looking for players who a good run here at the end of the year can put them up to the world rankings and put them in the top 32 seeds. So by the time the Australian draw comes in January, they are a seeded player, which is massive for some of these girls. So I'm looking at people around about sort of 35, 40 in the world rankings who a good run here could give them a decent move up the world rankings. And Jacqueline Christian is someone who makes appeal to me here at 45-1 in the top half of the draw. She's in that second quarter where currently Alexandrova is in it, and she will due to play Alexandrova if she wins her first round match, which she's up against a qualifier. She'll be a heavy favourite to do that. So she should play Alexandrova. Now, admittedly, she's going to be a big outsider against Alexandrova, but there is a very, very good possibility that Alexandrova doesn't play in this tournament. And if she does play in this tournament, I don't think her motivation will be as high as it has been in the last couple of weeks because she can only finish in 10th. It's been a long, hard season. A win here or Christiane goes deep in this tournament, like the semi-finals or finals, she moves very, very close to that top 32 world rankings. She's, like I say, she's currently 42. Her career high is 41. She's on the back of a semi-final appearance last week in Osaka, where it was exactly the same, more or less the same conditions as here. She pushed Valentova very, very close. The young talented 17-year-old, 18-year-old who got to the final. And I think you got to look for people who want to get it. They're going to go deep. Their season isn't over. There's a lot of incentive for them to go well. And she's in form. So I'm going to, and obviously if we can get her deep in the tournament, in that draw you got Bencic, but again, what motivation has she got? Karolina Muchova opens up against Vondrousova. Will come up to that match in a minute. If Vondrousova wins that match, Vondrousova goes into the top 32 in the world. Muchova's a year with injury problems. Does she want to save herself and fit and get ready for the Australian Open? I question her. Alexandrova, I've already mentioned. Noshkova's now out. Kenny's not playing at all well, was dreadful last week. So Christiane ticks a lot of boxes to me in a section where there could be, if Alexandrova goes out of that section, you're going to have one qualifier, 3 wild cards, Kenin, Christiane, and that's it. And it's not going to take much at all to get to the semi-finals. I just question whether Alexandrova will compete here. And if she does, I question how motivated she is. So, she's going to be, if she does play, Christiane's going to be a big outsider against her. But she's in form, semi-finalist, and she has something to play for. So they're my 2 strategies here. Going to go for a 2U play. And it's all about motivation. Players that want to win, players that need to win, players got something to play for. So Rebecca in the plus 225, a 2U win-only pick. And I'm going to go for a half point each way on Jacqueline Christiane in form at 45-1.
Yeah, I take a slightly different view. I totally get the logic with Christiane, but looking at that top half, I couldn't trust anyone in that top half. I'm looking at the bottom half, and I'm interested in Rybakina. Now, granted, conditions here should be more favourable to her than last week in Ningbo. These are quicker. She should go well. But I think she's going to really struggle in her round 2 match, her first match against Leylah Fernandez. Leylah Fernandez, okay, this is going to probably come back to bite me, but she's almost got a bye in the first round against Maria Sakkari, the way Sakkari's playing at the moment. Fernandez has a 2-1 head-to-head record against Rybakina. And those wins were in Washington in the semi-finals earlier this year and Cincinnati last year. 2 of the quickest courts on the calendar. She's beaten her twice on quick courts in Rybakina's ideal conditions. I think Fernandez, she's just won. Okay, there might be an element of fatigue for both players, but Fernandez won in Osaka, similar conditions to these, quicker conditions. Fernandez, there's a case to say she's got the beating of Rybakina. She's beaten her in the last 2 meetings. They've been close. They've both gone to 3 sets. Fernandez won 7-6, won in a tie-break in Washington. She won 6-4 in the third in Cincinnati. I think in that bottom half, whoever wins that match should win the bottom half. And I'd rather be on Fernandez at $20 and Rybakina at plus 225. There's a lot of pressure on Rybakina as well. Yes, she definitely needs to win. Fernandez, I think she's safely in the top 32 for the Australian Open. But she does go well this time of year as well. I think she won in Hong Kong a couple of years ago. And And, she can keep that form going from last week in conditions she likes. I think she's got a chance. So she's going to be my pick, 1 point each way at $20, Leylah Fernandez. But, God, who knows? I mean, as you say, there could be more withdrawals. I mean,
I think there'll be a lot more
yeah.
withdrawals.
I mean, Fernandez could be one of them.
And I just know that one of them won't be Rebecca enough because she needs to.
She has to play.
I think she could start a lot shorter with the withdrawals. I'm looking at it from a value perspective as well. There's a lot of reasons to like about her, but I think it's strange to say, but I believe that she's going to start so much shorter than that price.
Okay, let's have a look at some matches. And
there isn't many of them, is there?
There aren't, because there have been so many changes in the draw. We've only got 3 to bring you that are definitely happening. Well, we say definitely. There could be one of these players could withdraw. First one is a repeat of last week. Marketa Vondrousova against Karolina Muchova. They met in Ningbo, and Muchova won 6-4, 6-3. So the head-to-head is now 2 apiece. The quicker conditions in Tokyo might give Vondrousova more of a chance, but hard to see her reversing the form. Interestingly, the odds are closer than they were last week. Muchova was a narrow favourite last week. She's an even more narrow favourite this week at -114. Vondrousova's -109. So you can see the spread is just half a game. Total's 21.5. I mean, we talk about motivation. You're saying, Vondrousova possibly has more motivation than Muchova here. Not a match I'd like to have a bet on. Do you have a view here?
I think all these matches, there's only 3 of a potential 12 tomorrow that we only know 3 matches. I think there's going to be a lot of better bets than these 3 matches that we currently know now. There's obviously the other tournament as well, which has got some interesting match bets that could find themselves happening. I mean, it's very strange that you get a 6-4, 6-3 win for somebody they play the following week and they're a bigger price than they were the week before. That's very, very odd. So that suggests that people think this is a little bit quicker surface. That's the only reason I can see that happening. It will suit Vondrousova. And also the point I made there, if Vondrousova wins his match, he goes into the top 32 in the world. And if she can maintain that, she'll be seeded, obviously not guaranteed, but she'll go with a good chance of being seeded for the Australian Open if she can end the season high here. That's the motivation for her. Karolina Muchova, a year, troubled by injuries, 2 weeks ago the season. Does she want to rest or does she want to win this tournament? And the only people who can answer that are those players. So for me, I would completely lean this, not swerve this one whatsoever. I would probably look for the over on the total if I was pushed. But last week was a very convincing win for Muchova, and Vondrousova didn't look at it. Both of them, just for me, I think the incentive slightly is with Vondrousova, and hence the reason why she is the price she is today, a shorter price than she was last week. No bet.
Let's move on. I do have a bet for this one, surprisingly. Wakana Sonobe against Nikola Bartunkova. 2 very talented young players. Sonobe is +205, Bartunkova -265. The spread's 4.5 games and totals 20.5. Sonobe might remember her from earlier in the season. She won the Australian Open junior title, and then she had a really good run to the last 16 in Abu Dhabi, falling to Ons Jabeur. She stuttered a bit since, but she did win the ITF 100K event in Tokyo in April. Bartunkova has shot up the world rankings thanks to her last month or so. She reached the semi-finals in Guadalajara, losing out to Iva Jovic. And then she reached the final of the Challenger in Samsun, Turkey, going down to Kaya Yuvan. But I'm surprised the odds are this one-sided, and this is why. Sonobe's a really good ball striker when she's in the mood. She's got a home crowd behind her. She's also a left-hander. And Bartunkova is a talented player, good variation, an amazing, fantastic drop shot, good forehand, but her career stats are really interesting. Her overall record is 128 wins against 60 defeats. Against left-handers, she's 6-12. It looks like she has a problem against left-handers. She's lost to players you probably would have expected her to beat, but because they're left-handers, she's lost. So I'm really keen on Sonobe here, so I'm going to have a point on Sonobe on the money line. I'm not bothering the spread. I think Sonobe can win this.
Obi-Wan Sonobe. Is that a name?
Yeah.
Let's hope the force is with her.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's hope the force is strong with Sonobe. I know nothing about these players, so I bow to your greater experience. But I mean, when you were talking, I was listening. Moving to the spread of 4.5. I like to play a little bit cautious. I suppose the reason why I looked at the form of Sonobe, she hasn't won a match in 5 matches, and she was absolutely blitzed by Naomi Osaka. But that would be a tough match for her last time out, and against probably one of her idols. So that would be a problem. Then I wouldn't look too deep into that. But your record there suggests that I'm happy. I mean, I haven't got a bet on any of these 3 matches, but to go with a 205 shot is good. But I mean, I will be playing the 205, but for a half a stake, and I'll be playing double on the plus 4.5. That would make my strategy on this match.
Yeah, I mean, I did see some of that Sonobe Osaka match, and she was blitzed in the first set, but she looked all right in the second. She was broken early on.
Nerves, must be nerves, mustn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And she's got big shots. She wasn't up to playing Osaka, but there's no disgrace in that. I think I said Bartunkova. She's not the biggest hitter. And I think Sonobe, I don't know if she'd hit through her, but she'd definitely make her move about the court. But that record against left-handers is, because normally when you look at that, there's hardly any difference normally when you look at players' records. But that one, just like that, really sort of set the alarm bells ringing. One more match, and a good match to look at: Dayana Shnaider against Dayana Yastremska. Shnaider is -182, Yastremska plus 145. The spread is 3.5 games, and the total's 21.5. They both had sort of contrasting fortunes in Ningbo. Yastremska had plenty of chances against Jelena Rybakina. She should have won the first set, but dropped it. Then she won the second on a tiebreak, and then she went down 6-3 in the third. Shnaider beat Karolina Muchova and Lin Zhu before falling in straight sets to Ekaterina Alexandrova, who's the runner-up. 1-1 is the head-to-head. Yastremska won their last meeting at Roland Garros this year. I mean, it was a bit of a return to form for Shnaider this week, or last week, let's say, in Ningbo. But -182 looks a bit short to my eyes.
Well, I mean, Yastremska got that win last time out against Mbuka. That was the last tournament. Everyone, I was on Mbuka. I thought that she can't play as bad as she possibly can. She did. I think it was more Mbuka playing bad than Yastremska being back. Shnaider always ends the season well, though. If you look at historically, true. I mean, she got to the semi-finals in Seoul last year. Then she got to the semi-finals in Tokyo last year. She won the tournament in Hong Kong in the last tournament of the year. She's a very, very strong end-of-season player. If we look at the season before, she got to the final of Ningbo. She got to the semi-finals with Zhu Zhang. It does end the season very well. And we're seeing that again. I mean, she's had a very, very disappointing season. She's a player that, we all expected to do well, as we said on many occasions on this show, that we thought she might break in through the top 10. It hasn't really happened to her. But last week was a good performance, quarterfinals against Ningbo, again against Alexandrova. Time of year she likes, she won, she does well this time of year. I think she's got something to prove after back of a bad season. Would I bet her at -182? Not with your money, Rory. Would I bet her at -3.5? Not a chance, because she's so capable of having a 6-love set against her or a 6-1 set against her. So, no, again, I don't want to say this again, but it's no bet for me. But I do think Shnaider could be someone who could go well in this week. But she's let me down on so many occasions that I couldn't bet her. But she does. She's a real good end of season player. Real good end of season player. If you look at her form over the back of the last 3 or 4 years.
So there we go. I mean, if I don't think I'd even have maybe a slight lean to Yastremska on the money line, but. As you say Schneider's capable of dropping a set 6-love, 6-1. Yastremska's equally capable of doing the same. So, and winning a set 6. I remember her beat Bageling Coco Gauff. I think it was the French Open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, one to leave alone, perhaps. So that's it. That's our look at Tokyo. As I said, no odds for Guangzhou, the 250 in China, but I'm sure we'll be looking at some of those matches in Betting Weekly Tennis Live this week. Nigel, you've been with Sean. I think you were Sean a bit earlier, were you?
Yeah, we've done a show looking at the matches in the two tournaments this week in Vienna and Basel. Some outright picks as well. Again, looking at motivation. I think it's all about motivation this week. And, long seasons. I keep going on about it. But there is so many players that just want the end, want to get on holiday, want to rest. And there's a lot of people who still have things to play for with some big money at stake as well. And that was really the focus of the ATP Tour show with Sean earlier on Game Bet Match.
So there we go. We've got lots of tennis. We've had the international break, so the leagues are back up and running. We back Champions League?
Champions League this week, Betting Weekly Live as well. And the newsletter out on Monday as well, so don't forget that. Sign up for that newsletter.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again, as always, Nigel. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back again soon with some more Betting Weekly WTA.